Prime Minister Anthony Albanese pushes the US on subsidies for the local critical minerals industry supplying American firms. Auction clearance rates across the country continue to fall, and the booming business of dead celebrities. Welcome to Fear and Greed Daily Business News. For people who make their own decisions, it is Monday, the 23rd of September 2024. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Adam Lang.
Good morning, Michael.
Adam, the main story this morning, Australia's critical mineral exporters are closer to winning US subsidies following Quad leaders' talks on the weekend as allies step up coordinated efforts to counter China's dominance of a sector that is absolutely crucial for the green energy transition.
Yes, Michael, there were significant chats over the weekend. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese pressed US President Joe Biden on the need to classify Australia's critical minerals as American-made to win favourable treatment. And that was during their talks on the sidelines of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue in Delaware. Mr. Biden hosted Mr. Albanese and the leaders of India and Japan at his home and former high school in Wilmington yesterday. Following the discussions, the leaders stepped up their tough language on China's increasing aggression in the South China Sea and their efforts to disrupt other countries' development of fishing and other resources. And that was according to a report in the Australian Financial Review. Mr. Biden was caught on a hot microphone telling the other Quad leaders that China's President Xi Jinping was testing the Western allies with increasing military assertiveness in the region at a turbulent moment for the Asian giant, whose economy is currently weakening. In their communique after the talks, the leaders said they were seriously concerned about the situation in the East and South China Seas, including the militarization of disputed features and coercive and intimidating maneuvers.
I love that. I mean, these are what you would say they are extraordinarily important diplomatic meetings, and you describe them as significant chats.
Yeah, using big words.
Yeah, it's probably one way to put it. Just having a nice little chat. Now, Joe Biden will end his presidency in 4 months. It is getting close now, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is also stepping down. So that's 2 out of the 4 Quad leaders. What can Australia get out of the obvious warm relations between Mr. Biden and Anthony Albanese while he's still there?
Well, hopefully, favoured treatment for Australia's mining companies. Australia and the United States have been in talks about allowing our mineral companies to get the American subsidised loans if, for example, they send minerals to US electric vehicle manufacturers for batteries and other components, such as exports from Japan and South Korea. Effectively, Australian critical minerals companies would be treated as Americans under the massive spending in the Inflation Reduction Act. That would be a boon for our local companies, though it isn't clear what a Donald Trump administration would think about such an arrangement.
Everything is up in the air.
No guarantees.
Yeah, after November, kind of who knows? Who knows what kind of state we'll be operating in then? Let's take a look back home, local markets. How did things finish up on Friday?
Very interesting week, Michael. The S&P ASX 200 closed up 0.2% to 8,210 points, with Wesfarmers and ANZ among the best performers of the large caps and Telstra among the worst. It was a record close reflecting optimism following the Federal Reserve's 50 basis point cut to the benchmark interest rate last week in the US. Futures trading suggests that local shares are set to open a bit lower this morning.
Just quickly, I'll make a very quick mention of Sean's interview that comes up after the show because it is relevant to what you've just been talking about, Adam. He's speaking with Lachlan Holloway, who is the equity strategist at Morningstar. This is a terrific chat because it comes off the back of the local market setting multiple records last week. And really, Sean and Lachlan kind of go through what it means for investors in terms of the large caps, looking at the banks, looking at the resources, looking at even at the tech stocks. And Lachlan goes through and picks out a couple of companies that he has been looking at and just maybe a couple of ways that investors can navigate their way through the market, kind of hitting these record highs. We are, of course, not an investing podcast, and you should seek professional advice before making investment decisions, but it is a terrific interview.
Yeah, Michael, big companies, bags of data. Can you imagine how excited I am to listen to this one?
I want people to listen to it, Adam.
Yeah.
I want people to stick around. Here you are. It's not just about the data. It's about the names. It's about all this other stuff.
It's true. It's about his insights, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lachlan Holloway.
I suspect if you're just focusing on the data, it kind of narrows down the excited parties down to one Adam Lang.
Never.
Sorry, not meaning to dismiss other data nuts like yourself. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were telling us about some corporate news as well.
All right. In further corporate news, Michael, Tabcorp chair Bruce Ackhurst will step down after major investors expressed concern about the company's weak performance and rising costs. Tabcorp's share price is down nearly 50% this year, and retailer Harvey Norman was served a second class action for misleading and deceptive conduct over the alleged selling of extended warranties days after Echo Law launched similar proceedings against the company. The new proceedings, Michael, were announced by law firm Morris Blackburn.
All right, now thanks to Blue Chip Communication, the experts helping financial services companies market, communicate and grow. Visit bluechipcommunication.com.au. Let's take a look at international markets. Much happening overseas, Adam?
Plenty, Michael. The rate cut boosted US shares to record highs early last week, but the rally lost some momentum over the weekend with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 both down 0.2%. Market analysts are warning there is a good chance of a correction in the coming months on Wall Street. AMP's Deputy Chief Economist Diana Messina said valuations are high, seasonality is a problem in September, and tech names like Nvidia could have some downsides. There are also geopolitical risks, such as the US election and conflict in Ukraine and the Middle East.
All right, now we have plenty to get through, Adam. We will take a quick break and we'll be back in a moment with the rest of the day's business news. Adam, it was a very big week for auctions with 2,700 homes going under the hammer, and the falling clearance rate supports the argument that it is becoming a buyer's market.
That's true, Michael. It was the biggest weekend for auctions since Easter. The nationwide preliminary clearance rate of 68.2% is the second lowest this year, and that was after the week ending June 9th, the King's birthday long weekend in some states. Melbourne hosted the largest volume of auctions with 1,274 homes going under the hammer. The clearance rate came in at 68.3% there. 995 auctions were held in Sydney, where 70.3% were successful. Adelaide recorded the most auctions across the smaller capital cities with 206 homes taken to market and a preliminary clearance rate of 74.6%. That's high. Brisbane came in at 56.8% and the ACT 48.6%, and all that data is according to CoreLogic.
Now, after the show, Adam, today we have Fear and Greed the week ahead, which comes up every Monday. And today, Stephen Koukoulas, our resident economist, is very, very excited, as he often is, but he's got very good reason to be excited because the Reserve Bank Board meets today and tomorrow with, you got to say, plenty to mull over.
Yeah, Michael, it sure does. And Stephen Koukoulas, aka The Kook, our resident economist, he has a very good grasp of all the data and, let's just say, a very firm view on what might happen. So we'll be listening closely to what happens to the RBA over the coming days. The central bank is widely accepted to keep the cash rate on hold at 4.35%. But the big question is whether it will continue to sound hawkish or sound like it's thinking about lifting rates. Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock has already ruled out any cut before Christmas. Of course, Michael, the Reserve Bank will be watching the release of the monthly inflation indicator on Wednesday, with markets expecting annual headline inflation to fall to 2.7% in August, and that was from 3.5% in July. That's a big change, and it would mark the first time inflation has been in the Reserve Bank's target band of 2 to 3% since October 2021. It's nearly 3 years. The decline is expected to be driven by a steep drop in electricity prices, and that's thanks to the government's energy rebates. The trimmed mean rate, which ignores those rebates, will likely be a little above 3.7%.
The four big banks, Adam, are back offering thousands of dollars in upfront cash to win and keep home loan customers, revisiting a period of intense competition and shrinking margins.
Yeah, Michael, the major banks, and that's except for ANZ, ended cashback promotions last year after a crunch in profits, with the Commonwealth Bank Chief Executive Matt Comyn warning at the time the country's largest lender was writing home loans below the cost of capital. But Commonwealth Bank Australia, National Australia Bank and Westpac have since given their bankers discretion to offer cash incentives as that competition intensifies, and that's according to a report in the Australian Financial Review. The return of cashback promotions comes ahead of anticipated interest rate cuts, which are expected to boost housing activity. The cash rate has been at 4.35% since November 2023, and while the Reserve Bank insists nothing will change this year, Financial markets have actually priced in a 67% chance of a rate cut this year.
Adam, Myer has recorded a drop in sales and a slump in profit for the 2024 financial year.
Yeah, Michael, the group said challenging macroeconomic conditions and the closure of its Brisbane, Frankston and Werribee stores led to a 3% drop in sales to almost $3 billion. Net profit after tax fell 28%. Executive Chair Olivia Wirth outlined plans to return the department store business to sustainable growth. Myer tomorrow includes stronger cost controls, cracking down on in-store theft, better use of promotions and unlocking the full potential of its Myer One loyalty scheme. It will also seek to increase customer engagement, especially among male and younger shoppers, to enhance the loyalty scheme and give Myer a greater share of wallet.
I think step one is customer service. I don't mean to give unsolicited advice.
Yeah, have you got
Myer.
some coincidental feedback, Michael?
It's just frustrating when you go in there and you're trying to kind of find someone to help you and you just get shunted around between various desks within the... This is why I shop online, Adam. This is why I try.
Help is only a mouse click away.
Yeah, that's right. You can always get help from the chatbot. Now, Adam, yogurt is on a tear, which is honestly, 5 words I never thought I would say together in a sequence.
It's a difficult metaphor to imagine, isn't it?
Oh, it absolutely is. But the thing is, sales are booming in yogurt land, particularly tubs with added protein or reduced sugar. You see, yogurt has been growing far more quickly than other dairy products, with consumers now spending $1.92 billion annually on the category. I find that quite extraordinary.
Michael, is your household doing its bit for yogurt?
Yes, I have yogurt it will not surprise you to learn that I eat the same thing every day for breakfast. I have
no such thing as variety as the spice of life.
No, and look, I like structure, I like consistency, and I have exactly the same thing every day.
Same time, same bowl, same spoon?
As much as I possibly can.
Good.
I should not admit this. Anyway.
We'll come back to that at another time.
Goodness me. Please go on, Adam. Save me.
All right. Much as I don't want to save you, I must get on with the story. Bega, which is the biggest producer of yogurt with brands including Farmers Union, Dairy Farmers and Yoplait, said industry-wide yogurt sales grew 11% last year. Now, that easily outstrips fresh milk, where sales industry-wide rose 2% to $2.15 billion. Yogurt can be nutrient-rich, and supermarkets have long sold varieties marketed as probiotic, which maintains the so-called good bacteria in the body. Research now suggests that regularly eating yogurt reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes. Dietitians have also begun to recommend high-protein yogurt for muscle gain, and that's according to a report in the Australian Financial Review. Coles says customers are buying larger tubs of yogurt as family budgets are being squeezed, as well as single serves. The boom in yogurt has been helpful to ASX-listed Bega. Its share price is up nearly 90% over the last year.
Of course, it's a growth industry, Adam, because they're using live cultures.
Oh, very good.
Goodness me.
Not quite top shelf. Let's just say upper middle.
Yeah, it's never a good time when I laugh more than you do and it's my own joke. All right, well, let's leave yogurt behind. All right, let's turn to international news now. A very serious story. This one, Adam, Israel and Lebanon exchanged heavy fire yesterday as Israeli warplanes carried out the most intense bombardment in almost a year of war across Lebanon's south.
Yeah, Michael, this conflict continues. The Israeli military said it had conducted a wave of strikes across southern Lebanon over the past 24 hours, hitting some 400 militant sites, including rocket launches, and that's according to Reuters. An Israeli military spokesman said those strikes had thwarted an even larger attack and that it will continue to strike targets as the sides appear to be heading towards all-out war following months of escalating tensions. Israel closed schools and restricted gatherings in many northern areas of the country, and the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights early on Sunday. In the region, sirens sounded all night as multiple rockets and missiles were fired from Lebanon and Iraq, most of which were intercepted by Israeli aerial defense systems, the military said. Hezbollah said it targeted the Israeli Ramat David airbase with dozens of missiles in response to repeated Israeli attacks on Lebanon. The escalating attacks come less than 48 hours after an Israeli airstrike targeting Hezbollah commanders killed at least 45 people in a suburb of the Lebanese capital.
Adam, Swiss watchmakers are warning of a worsening outlook for the industry as the cost of living crunch hits buyers, though demand apparently remains strong at the very top end, which is obviously where we like to hang out.
Michael, it's curious to me every time that there's economic disruption, what happens with different products and services, and luxury goods really do seem to live in a world on their own.
Yeah.
According to the Federation of the Swiss Watch Industry, exports rose last month due to demand for expensive watches made of precious metals. However, it said that prospects for the industry are still negative, as is the outlook for the rest of the year. Demand for mid and entry-level priced watches has fallen sharply, while more costly timepieces fared better. So what is an expensive watch? The Swiss put it at 3,000 francs, or about 5,200 Australian dollars. Much of the slowdown reflects demand from China and Hong Kong, while purchases from Japan and to a lesser extent the US and Singapore, they remain solid.
Can you imagine a sales meeting at a Swiss watchmaker? So yes, we saw an uptick in sales. Golly, just busting them out today. And none of them have been my kind of premium material yet.
Not yet.
No.
Perhaps you're saving the best for the very end.
Oh, God.
Stay tuned.
You are holding me to a standard that I cannot possibly live up to. One last one, and I do not know what to make of this. I actually feel really uncomfortable about this story. The dead celebrity industry is growing, and it is becoming more and more lucrative, thanks, of course, to artificial intelligence, with the estates of pop stars, kind of right through to actors, earning millions of dollars. There are big sums involved here.
Incredible, Michael. AI is helping some brands live on. Despite Michael Jackson being about $500 million in debt at the time of his death, his estate has amassed a fortune of $2 billion, and that's according to People magazine, thanks to projects such as the Jukebox musical and even posthumous albums featuring work made while he was still alive. The estates of James Dean, Judy Garland, Laurence Olivier and Burt Reynolds have all signed with AI voice cloning group 11 Labs as part of the company's Iconic Voices project. The actors now narrate books, articles and other text material, and according to Bloomberg, Judy Garland can now read you The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Albert Einstein and mathematician Alan Turing are set to deliver masterclasses next year via 11 Labs. However, perhaps the biggest test of AI will arrive early next spring when Elvis Evolution premieres at Excel London. The King of Rock and Roll will perform for the first time in more than 45 years.
Would you want to go and see that?
I would.
Would you? But I suppose you're one of those people that suspect that he never actually left us. You're a bit of a conspiracy nut, aren't you? Oh, you conspiracy theorist, a closet conspiracy theorist, which is a hard sentence to say. Goodness me. I was hoping you'd refute me, but you haven't.
No.
I think I might have.
I'm all in on this one.
Oh, golly. Okay. Up next, Fear and Greed Daily interview, Lachlan Holloway, equity strategist at Morningstar. It is a great interview for anyone interested in investing, obviously, but particularly in the context of the ASX 200 setting multiple records last week. It is great to hear what Lachlan makes of all of that and what he thinks might be kind of coming up and where some of the opportunities might be for investors. And of course, as well, don't forget to listen to Fear and Greed the week ahead, featuring resident economist Stephen Koukoulas, both coming up next in the Fear and Greed playlist on your podcast platform or at fearandgreed.com.au. Thanks very much, Adam.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Monday, the 23rd of September, 2024. Make sure you're following the podcast and please join us online on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, TikTok and Facebook. I'm Michael Thompson. That was Fear and Greed. Have a great day.